Day 3, time to take a peek. So I decided to curve my warming mat around my jars because I have 2 starter jars now and just put the towel over. But y'all, look at this. I am so excited. Wah! So here is our starter, day 3. So even though we were only up to about right here when we fed yesterday, look at how much the starter is growing. So we will definitely need to switch jar size. All of the bubbles are that happy fermentation going on. And then over here, I decided to try Miss Lori over at Whippoorwill Holler's AP flour method, I'll call it. And you can see as well, this has risen in the jar and fallen. We do have a layer of liquid on the top. So I'll talk about that in just a moment. But yes, our starter is starting to start. Well, welcome to day 3 of the sourdough starter series. Y'all, I'm having a problem with the extremely inexpensive lavalier mic that I bought. So I'm going to make a big effort to speak up so y'all can hear me, and hopefully the audio quality will be better to come. But I have to save a little bit of money for a nicer model of lavalier mic. Sometimes it pays to buy quality. So, how happy is my starter? So you can see it came all the way up and now it's on the decline because it's hungry. And I haven't said this, I don't think. It's a really good idea to feed your starter at the same time every day. If you're having problems getting your starter started, sprinkle a little sugar in there, like a big pinch. You can also feed it twice a day if it is just having a lot of trouble or needing a lot of food. But it's starting to have a little bit of a fermented smell. That's what it looks like. So let's give it a good stir. And of course it is gonna deflate, so listen. Hear those air bubbles coming out. It's still pretty pasty. Here's my consistency, but it's loose enough. I did change up, as I said, how I'm keeping them warm. And I had this brainstorm this morning. I'm going to put one of my canning mats underneath because that will also help hold the heat in. I checked the temperature of the actual starter and it was like 74, something like that. So wrapping it around works, but I think an insulated mat will do more. So today we are going to do a couple things different. The first thing is our starter is alive. So now that it's living, it has earned a name. So naming your starter is always kind of a fun thing to do. So I have chosen the name Winston. Drop me a comment below. What are you going to name your starter? So the first thing I'm going to do is I am going to switch to a Le Parfait 1 liter jar. I'm going to do this because I do it just a little bit different than Heather did over at the Needy Homesteader as far as not changing jars every day. I just have to make things a little more convenient, to be quite honest. But you can change your jar every day, definitely. So here you go, Winston. Let's get into your new house. And you can see it's not quite pourable, but oh, you know what? Hold that thought. All right. What we want to do is we want to measure out 100 grams of our starter into a new jar. So what I did is I just scraped out what I put in there. And let me give you an idea of how much we are going to have left over to discard. So we're going to use the majority of Winston. So let's see where we are. Oh, couldn't do that twice if I tried. All right. I know it's kind of hard to see, but this is what we have left, so not a lot. Could you use it? Yes. Does it have much flavor or sourdough quality? No. So I'm not ready to use my pour off yet for anything. So to this, we are gonna go ahead and we're gonna add our water. And today, guys, I'm working with 2 sets of directions. We are going to add 100 grams, good grief, of water. So zero out your scale, measure your 100 grams of water, and I'll tell you how much about that is cup-wise. Okay, it's a scotch under half cup. So let's add our water. Now we have our 100 grams of starter, our 100 grams of water. Put it back on your scale, go ahead and zero it out. And you can certainly measure your flour in a separate container and just dump it in, however it works for you. I'm actually just gonna spoon it directly in. And again, Winston is a rye grain sourdough starter. And I still continue to get comments about, I can't believe rye doesn't taste like rye. Y'all, I'm telling you, it doesn't. I love rye bread. That is my favorite type of bread. I love rye toast with grape jelly. And this has no rye taste whatsoever. So now that our starter is getting active, even though we don't want to be like disturbing it a lot during the ferment process, you're going to start to see a lot of activity. 100 grams on the nose. So when you feed your starter, it is going to have the necessary food, if you will, to start fermenting. So during the day, and it may take a while, it's gonna bubble up. So make sure you are using at least a quart-sized jar at this point. I also do recommend you put it on like a saucer or something in case it does run over. Let me put some muscle onto it. You do want to be really sure that you incorporate all your ingredients really well. I think that's one of the keys, because if the 100 grams of starter is not mixed in well to the feed that we had, it's not going to get evenly fed, and therefore it's not going to maybe ferment at the same rate. Ugh. Y'all, this is like glue. So I'm gonna put him down in the jar. And one of the ways you can tell if your sourdough is fermenting and starting to rise is you will get a climb mark on the jar, and I'm going to show you that very clearly. So here's what we have in our 1 liter jar. I am going to clean this rim. And then Winston, here you go, bud. We're going to kind of put your lid on so it can breathe. And there you go. I will put Winston back in his little snuggy bed. The question might arise, can I just run this down my garbage disposal? Y'all, I do not recommend it. It is so glutinous and so pasty that I always fear I'll clog up my pipes. So this particular discard is going to go for me into the garbage can. Then, yeah, your jars are paying to clean, but just soak it in hot water. A little bit of soap, you'll be fine. So that is it, day 3. 100 grams of starter, 100 grams of water, 100 grams of flour in a quart-sized jar or larger. Put it back to bed. Super simple, right? So yesterday, day 2, I shared about Miss Lori over at Whippoorwill Holler. Her video is so good. She does a 5-day all-purpose flour starter. So let me just talk about the difference between the rye starter that I'm doing and maybe an all-purpose. So I like the really sour sourdough. So I like it long fermented and strong. The AP flour, if you're starting to use pour off, we'll say, at 5 days, It's not going to be as sour, but it's still very tasty. And Miss Lori made English muffins with her AP flour starter at 5 days. So I am thinking about, and I won't make it maybe part of the sourdough series, I'll do it a separate video, doing a comparison and making half of the batch with Winston and half of the batch with Miss Lori's starter, which I have also named. So stay tuned for that. All right, so I don't want to confuse you, so I am not going to show the feeding process because I just think it'll get confusing, but this is Halston. And as you see, Halston has a layer of liquid on the top. Y'all, that's nothing to worry about. If you get it on your starter that we're working on together, just stir it in. So I'm gonna feed Halston here. Let me clean up my mess, and then I have just a couple quick things to share with you, and we'll be done for the day. Pinky Frankie wanted to pop in and say hi. Can you say hello? Good. Oh. So, y'all, I did decide that I am going to have additional videos besides the sourdough series, because if people aren't interested in the sourdough series, then there's no video, right? So I'm ahead. Wah! I have 2 videos coming to you. Saturday's video is already uploaded and scheduled. I am excited about that video because it's very different. And then hopefully on Tuesday, I am actually going to do a sponsored video. Now, y'all, I'm not into being an influencer, but I wanted to share with you ahead of time. The reason I'm doing this video is because when I find a service, a product, or company that I like doing business with, that has fair pricing, that has items that will bring all of us benefit, I will share it. And I think you might find it interesting. So I have those 2 videos ahead. So I hope you will enjoy them. It is almost 6 o'clock now. I usually feed my starter at 5:30 because now I'm up at 1 o'clock in the morning half the time. Still don't sleep. So I will see you all tomorrow. We will continue on feeding our Winston and Halston. I hope you will drop me a comment below with what you are going to name your starter. I think it'll be a lot of fun. And until I see you tomorrow, please smash that like button, share my video, do all the things, and be healthy, be well, be blessed, take care.